Hi, this is Elizabeth Huttinger, and my work with Manobi Foundation supports a social enterprise in West Africa. That's the 24 countries from the bulge of Africa into the Congo. These are some of the poorest countries in the world, but commercially, they're undergoing rapid change. There are 74 million people here, and half of them live on less than $2 a day. 80% of the workers are employed in agriculture, but that only represents a third of GDP. In these 24 countries, there are 603,000 telephone lines, but 9.6 million mobile phones. Daniel Anaros on the right and David Boggio, the tall guy on the left, founded Manobi in 2001, and they've won major awards every year since then, from the World Summit on Information Society to TED, awards from the World Bank and Google. Our virtual network perfected an approach that keeps making better and better product. It's based on constant dialogue from the users inside of an open source system. This is risky, but so far the approach has grown our system in some really excellent ways. Today we're going to talk about rural poor farmers and how digital media has helped them to optimize their lives and make money. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? But don't forget this impossible claim because we'll come back to it at the end of the talk. What does Central Africa look like? It's the transitional ground between the Sahara and the tropics. And this is the famous baobab tree. Most of the people live in villages like these. This one has electricity. This one doesn't. Very few of the poorest farmers have access to wells. And when they don't, everyone goes to the river to collect water in jerry cans and wash. They wash their dishes, their clothes, their kids, and their animals. And if they don't have a donkey, then they put the water on top of their heads and walk home. Farming is their only source of food and their only livelihood. Most farmers have less than 4 acres. Almost half of farmers are actually women, even though their husbands and brothers often claim the credit. Félisette grows tomatoes, and these are very hard to transport to market. So her husband subscribes via Manobi's virtual network to a program called Time to Market. Every day, young people working for Manobi circulate in all the bigger markets, and using a smartphone, they post the retail and wholesale price of fruits and vegetables on the internet. So every morning, Mr. Set can see what tomatoes are selling for in any one of 6 markets. And armed with that information, he can decide what price to accept for his tomatoes when the middlemen come by.
So you are just selling to anybody who could be moving on the way, giving us the much he wished to give us. But today, it is quite a different story, where UCE program has provided us information of the current prices, whereby the same buyers, if they try to come in the area, when they try to say give us unfavorable prices, we just give them a no answer. That one has benefited us because I'm getting better prices. It has helped me to pay some fees for my children. Some have taken them to better schools because of that income.
So everyone at home is happy. This is a Manobi farmer who's looking at a statistic even though he doesn't know what statistics are. The squiggly little line tracks the price of onions for the past 6 months, and the farmer's trying to decide whether to store the onions or bag and sell them now. He's lucky because onions are not very perishable compared to other vegetables. Onions are one of the largest crops bought and sold in Senegal. About a year ago, Manobi's market research people noticed and posted that there were tons of onions in bags labeled Holland that were undercutting the local vendors by 20%. It turned out that every single market in Senegal was full of them, and nobody could even sell an onion. Manobi reported it to the Ministry of Agriculture, and this turned into an international dumping incident that became a scandal, as well as a case study in world trade. Just like in the States, Holland mass produces food very cheaply, and when necessary, they sell extra food to the government for cash. And in turn, the government sends foreign aid in the form of commodities to Africa. And that can wreck the local economy. In the case of onions, it put 70,000 farmers and their families at risk of going out of business. So Manobi staffers used their network to enforce the law. The first world's all-you-can-make farming approach imposes ruinous trading practices on the rest of the world. Africans don't want genetic modification in plants that don't make seeds. It's a little ironic that we think we can give away fair trade to really poor countries. Because if you ask them, like Manobi does, you'll find that the really poor countries want knowledge and information so that they can earn their fair trade prices fairly, and they want to be part of the global food chain. But getting to market can be tricky. Traffic is slow. It's hard to maneuver your horse on a paved highway. Some farmers unsafely overload their vehicles. Trucks break down and have to be unloaded and walked in if they don't make it to market in one piece. When it rains, it's pretty miserable. No matter what the season, markets are chaotic. But in this madness are the Manobi staffers posting their prices to the farmers who live far away. This is one way that farmers can save time and money. With Manobi, farmers don't have to go to market to get a fair price. Because with real-time information, these guys can negotiate a deal based on real prices rather than on information from a fast-talking middleman.
Kilo tokora buna sini saddeettama tuuba. Buna kilo tokora. Sini saddeettam. Sini saddeettam sun birrii 25 no godhu oftan meeqa ta'a? Birrii 200 ta'a. Kiloon tokko meeqa baasee jechuudha? Birrii 200 baasee jechuudha. Isin asitti kiloo tokko meeqa argattan? Birrii 4-5 faadha. Kana hoolaaltan maal isiniif fakkaatame?
Maaf gabaan gadi aana silaa bunni likkii warqiitti oola jedhanii reedoolleen bunnaa jetti malee gurra qofa dhageenna malee waan nu bayeeruun qabu.
Ka ittiin quufeef ka ittiin gabbatellee warruma naggaatu asuma keessan bitan akka ka alaa hin dhunne hin dhoowwan.
Keessattuu immoo rakkoon kenna bunni kenna yennaa nu bilchaatee silaa guyyaa gurguraa ge'u kaane nama tokkocha dhufee hagasi isinirraa fudhadhanuun jedhu. Nama tokkochatti shilingii sumunaan jedhee kiiloo qofuu dhaabbata. Gabaan temeniin nu bayee hagasiin bitamaa rabarana wanni jedhanuun jiru. Gabaan kan nama tokkochaadha. Waan kana ta'eefi buna kenna yeroo nurraa fudhattan beektanii kaatanii yoo dhuttanii kaatanii nurraa fudhattane. Gabaa herregameen isinuu herreddanii kaatanii akka nurraa fudhattanu kan nu barbaannu.
We don't dumb down the phone for these users. Our displays are pictographs. I mean pictures and numbers, user-friendly to people of low literacy. What's the difference between low literate and illiterate? Low literate means that this lady went to school, probably all the way through 3rd grade, about 30 years ago, and she's proud of her education. A pictograph network is beautifully suited to her needs. What's the Manobi phone like? There is no Manobi phone. We're only a virtual network operator. Our users help us to know what to ask for in a phone, and this year we tendered specs for a field phone. It had these features: a larger screen, better visibility in sunlight, louder volume outdoors, and a longer battery life. The screen shown here is a typical sales report for one farmer. He shipped 450 kilos of 2-star apples based on an offer he posted on December 23rd. He has 110 kilos still in stock that must be sold before January 10th, parish date, And so far, he's had one hit and one follow-up phone call from the same buyer. So what's the impact of digital media on the rural poor? On average, a farmer in West Africa who uses Manobi can make an extra $2,500 per acre. Most rural poor have 3-acre plots, so thanks to Manobi, his family gets $4,000 to $5,000 more money every year, effectively catapulting him into the middle class and making him a supplier to the global food chain. This is Dauda. He's an MD, PhD from Harvard University, specializing in malaria, hanging out with children who don't attend school from a small village in Senegal. Wherever Dauda goes, children flock to school in his wake, hoping to grow up and be just like him. How else can the farmer grow his income? Polyculture is proven to increase yields, and organic farming for the export market is profitable. Here's a small plot that's been converted to polyculture. Organic farming. Don't laugh, because going organic to these guys means being able to sell fruit and vegetable directly to the first world for premium prices. The fruit and vegetable growers of Mali contacted Manobi 3 years ago to help them convert to organic farming in mangoes. Manobi started with its customary process of intensive stakeholder interviews so that we could custom build a website for the needs of the mango growers. This is what they needed. They wanted to learn how to meet organic production standards. They wanted to conform to international fresh fruit traceability requirements, something that the Manobi system is particularly good at. And they needed to learn how to pack and package the fruit to meet the import standards of Europe and the United States. Mango producers range from individual tree harvesters like this family, harvesting a wild tree next to their hut, to farmers who tend groves. Mango trees are a natural resource in this country, and many of them are mature and prolific producers. Mangoes from Mali consistently win international contests for superior taste and texture, but they're a soft fruit and highly perishable. Since the project started, export sales have been excellent, and the income has allowed the cooperative to invest in sophisticated packing equipment so that they can export consistent good quality. This has produced scores of new jobs. And here is what the virtual marketplace looks like from the back office. This is the database that supports all the pictographic information for low-literate users. Here we have the map corresponding to the names of farms. This is the data system that's used by buyers so that they can know where the growers are, what their names are, and their phone numbers, and what's in stock. If they know which farmers have stock, then they know where they're going, and then Manobi can draw a map for them, which is very useful because roads are bad in Africa and there are no road signs. As for the farmer, we can produce a printed report of her sales activity and purchases. We report when an offer was made, what was offered, what quality, the quantity, what sold, what's still available, how much perished, and what was the total crop income. She, in turn, can take that profit and loss statement and go to a bank or a micro-lender like you and me and get a loan. And we make that information visual too, so that the farmer understands what her report actually says and have an intelligent conversation with the lender about fair and realistic timetable for repaying the loan. Next, we asked our farmers, what's the service area of your plot? 300 of our clients were wrong by 40%. And that makes it awfully hard to buy supplies without wasting valuable money. We discovered this when the collectives expressed an interest in bulk buying, so that they, the poorest of all, wouldn't have to pay retail list price for seeds, fertilizers, stakes, and tarps. Overbuying can mean the difference between profit and loss for a subsistence farmer. And it leads to waste of resources, over-fertilization, and difficulties obtaining credit. So we set out to measure plots and calculate the surface area for them so the farmers could optimize their purchasing power. We used the cell phone's GPS feature of clicking and mapping. Cell phone to GPS, instead of traditional surveying, is incredibly easy and far more accurate. The owner of the land signs off that we measured the plot specified by her. But in this process, we realized there was an important hidden value here, and it's this. She can now register her title to the land legally, and not have to depend on her son to defend it. And so, based on a need expressed by the rural poor, Manobi got into local government business as a watchdog. 1 year ago, we signed a contract with 300 local governments in 3 countries to support their web development, including a commitment to serve as a county recorder for land registration. This is a win-win opportunity to prevent land disputes and conflict. There's no title to most of the land in West Africa. People own it by virtue of oral history or force. More than half of the farmers don't own the land, but they do have the right to farm it, and that's an inheritable right that's understood to be transferable from father to son. But with title, the rights of women to own land or own or inherit the exclusive right to farm it become enforceable. So now the farmer can buy efficiently and have the security of registered ownership of his source of income. This, plus the profit and loss statement issued by the farming collective, improves his or her ability to get a business loan. Land registration does lead to taxation, but with Manobi as watchdog, the local government is accountable to grassroots advocates like this lady, Aminata Diop. As a result, more electricity is being provided, more cell towers are being built, and rural farmers are demanding and getting better water, sanitation, better schools, and a crackdown on pollution. Today we said we'd talk about rural poor farmers and how digital media has helped them to optimize their small business livelihoods, make money, and improve quality of life, even if they're poor, illiterate, and without electricity. I hope we've done a good job. Jerejef, thank you very much.